สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you all for taking your time. My name is Lisa Steinberg. I'm with Starry Constellation Magazine, and I'm joined by wonderful guests from How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having us.
A pleasure. I was absolutely struck watching the movie. It's so poignant and so beautiful. These interfamily dynamics that we see are so heartbreaking, but also so tugging at the same time. Can you talk a little bit about these wonderful themes that kind of balance both this wonderful emotional, but also connecting qualities that we have between this family?
While writing the script, me and writers, we found that the script itself is actually a tragic. It's a it's a tragedy. So, but I didn't want to make it that way, and because me personally for myself, I find it very difficult to watch the film that is very sad. So I try, so we try a lot to find balance while writing, and one way that became our core idea is to really look at the script through the character's eyes. And when you look at from the third point, like other person point of view, you see it as tragic. But when you look at from their points of view, especially from the grandmother, actually she's really happy that her grandson is coming, is back to live with her. And so when you look at that way, they just live their life. I mean, they just live their life the best way they could to get by. And I think somehow that kind of like fill in the comedy and the heartwarming stuff, and it somehow balance itself.
Yes, absolutely. It seems like all of the people, well, the other family members around the grandmother have a certain interest in her. And of course, we know M also has a specific interest in her, but the grandmother is very astute as well. So I love that it balances this like messiness, but also the beautiful relationship that does authentically develop at the same time between the two of them. And I want to ask a little bit about Ms. Usa, if you could talk a little bit about the chemistry that we see between your grandmother character, Amma, and M, how you really balance that with these great beats of comedy, but also these great tragic beats of that are palpable and endearing at the same time between these two characters.
ในแบบเวลาที่ยายเล่นกับบิวกินความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างยายหลานอ่ะเหมือนเขาอะบอกว่ามันมีทั้งมุมที่มันแบบตลกขบขันมากกับมุมที่แบบจริงๆก็เศร้า
Mm, it's too
แล้วแบ
hard.
บแบบที่มันค่อนข้างยากในเชิงความรู้สึกอะไรเงี้ยยายแบบเหมือนเล่นยังไง
บาลานซ์มันยังไง
บาลานซ์มันยังไงกับบิวกิน
ไม่รู้
ก็ไม่รู้ก็เล่นไปก็ ช่วงที่เราคือมันจะมีต่อปากต่อคำกันนะคะ
อื
เออ
ม
บิวกินก็ชอบแบบว่ายั่วเรากระเซ้าเราก็ต่อปากต่อคำกันว่าอย่างนกที่หากินได้ตอนเช้าอะไรเนี่ยแล้วก็
อืมอืม
ต่อปากต่อคำกันเนี่ยมันก็เลยกลายเป็นเหมือนกับว่าเราเล่นกันกับหลานแต่อีตอนช่วงที่เราป่วย พอเริ่มเราป่วยมากๆเนี่ยเราก็มันจะมีเหมือนกับความรู้สึกเหมือนกับว่าเราเนี่ยจะไม่ได้อยู่กับเขาอีกนานต่อไปเราก็คงจะไม่จะอยู่กับเขาอีกแล้วอะไรอย่างเงี้ยมันก็เลยแบบทำให้เราเหมือนกับมันเศร้าแต่ว่าเราก็จะเก็บความรู้สึกของเราไม่ให้หลานเนี่ยเศร้าไปกับเราก็เลยเป็นแบบว่าเหมือนกับยังไงอะ
เก็บกด
เหมือนคนเก็บกดนะคะ อาม่าเป็นคนเก็บกดตลอดเวลา ไม่ว่าจะทุกข์จะสุขจะอะไรก็จะไม่ค่อยแสดงออกสีหน้าสีตาก็จะเรียบเฉยอยู่อย่างนั้นจนบางทีกลับมาบ้านแล้วเราต้องมาคลายร้องเพลงอยู่บ้าน
อื
ใช่
ม
Mm.
นะ
Yeah. Yeah. So, she thinks that the script itself, when there are scenes between her and M, her grandson, there's a lot of banter there already. Like, there's a lot of back and forth between Bilkin and the grandmother when he teases her and she fires back with, something quite unexpected. And it's, goes on like this, and that creates this really wonderful playfulness on set that came quite naturally to the both of them. Um, on the other hand, when her illness gets worse, that feeling that, she has not much time left, like that her clock is ticking, really felt real. But the difficulty in playing this part was that, grandmother is someone who really represses her feelings. She will, really make sure that people who are around her won't be affected or won't um, sort of register what she is actually feeling inside. So, I mean, it is a really difficult thing to play. And so she mentioned that, after set, every day, sometimes she goes home and she has to sing a song just to kind of let it all out. Yeah.
I remember while writing the script, because my mother and my grandmother, she fights a lot. They fight a lot, and I didn't quite understand why, because my mother was taking a good care of her, real good care, but my grandmother would yell at her for that, and so after spending a lot of time observing, I found out that my grandmother, she's really she get really mad about the fact, no, she gets really mad about the fact that somebody is trying to be good to her, because it would make her feel that deep down she's becoming a burden for them, and she loves them the most, and she doesn't want them to be herself to be their burden, because she spent all her life trying to make them feel comfortable, trying to make them have a better life than what she had. So that became like a core idea of this character.
Mm.
I'm very impressed by her performance. It was this performance of this kind of like stubbornness that we see underneath, but ultimately there's a lot of love within the relationships that may seem like they're chaotic or may seem like they're kind of fractured in a way, but she beautifully and portrays such a complex, compelling character.
ชมอย่างได้ดีมาก
ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Something also that really stuck out to me when watching the movie is that of the concept of time. There's a line in the movie where it's in the beginning and it talks about kind of like all older people want is time. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how that becomes a concept that we see within the film as well, because sort of time, as we grow older, is not on our side. Like we can't do anything about the past, but with the present, it's ever ticking. And there's not much about the future that's a lot within our control.
So when we were writing about this character M, he have to take care of his grandmother, but at the same time, his rivals are his mother, his own mother, his uncles. So we were trying to find what exactly M had, what would him make him gain an upper hand. And the thing that he has in his disposal is time, because he doesn't have money, he doesn't have responsibility, he doesn't know any insight about the grandmother, but he has time. So that became the idea that, oh, and one more thing is that the to be we while we're writing, we talk a lot about the concept of what it actually is to care for someone. Is it about like money? You buy good stuff for them, or like you become very observative, or like you love them so much, you give them all your love, but how do you express that? And when we came to like our conclusion of take of caring, it's all about time, and time is the only thing that is the most valuable. So we want to portray that in our film.
Yeah, absolutely. Time is more valuable than money, and who better embodies that now that we get to see through the eyes of the character of M as he develops this relationship with his grandmother. And I love that concept as well because we sort of feel like we're in a bubble living our lives and we don't think about that construct. And when we start to get around our relatives who are older, we become a little bit more aware of those moments and that value. And I feel like the most valuable thing that he ends up with is obviously the relationship that he developed with his grandmother.
Yeah, that's true. And it's always the case that when I talk to my friends or to my parents or to the uncle, everybody is around me while we were researching about this movie. The case, they always say that when someone like the grandfather pass away, it's always unexpected. It's always unexpected, and they have no idea that it's coming. But at the same time, right before their death, they would have they hadn't seen them for a long, long time. So that somehow strike us as the like the idea for this movie that I mean how you manage your time, because how you manage your time is how you prioritize the things in your life.
I would like to ask Utsa a little bit more about the character. When she first began reading the script, I know this is kind of like your first big role. What really stood out to you about the character and how you wanted to kind of construct the portrayal? Because we do see such a layered woman. She's obviously very stubborn, like we talk about, very hard-headed, but ultimately there's that, again, layer of love that's underneath the way that she kind of, I guess, protects the people that are around her, her family.
ตอนที่ยายอ่านบทครั้งแรกอะอะไรเกี่ยวกับตัวละครอาม่าที่ทำให้แบบยายรู้สึกว่าสนใจอยากเล่นตัวละครนี้จริงๆเพราะว่าตัวละครเนี่ยมันทั้งแบบทั้งดื้อหัวรั้นแต่ในขณะเดียวกันก็คือข้างในก็คือมีความอ่อนโยนและละเอียดอ่อนบางอย่างมากๆอะไรอย่างเงี้ยสนใจอะไรเกี่ยวกับอาม่า
จะอะไรกับอาม่า
ค่ะ
อาจจะอยากจะลองดูมั้งนะว่าเราเราเล่นได้หรือเปล่าอะไรอย่างนี้มากกว่าเพราะว่าก็ไม่เคยเล่นหนังแล้วนะก็ไม่รู้เหมือนกันว่าเราจะเล่นได้หรือเปล่าเข้าป่าจริงๆแล้วก็ยังหนักใจอยู่ว่าเอ๊ะถ่ายถ่ายแล้วจะเป็นยังไงก็กลัวเหมือนกันนะกลัวด้วยแต่ใจหนึ่งในเมื่อเราตัดสินใจแล้วว่าเอาเราจะเล่นเราต้องเล่นให้ได้แล้วก็บทอาม่าเป็นบทที่น่าสงสาร น่าสงสารมากเลยตั้งแต่อ่านบทมาเริ่มอ่านบทมาใหม่ๆก็ไม่เท่าไหร่พอมาอ่านถึงบทกับพี่ชายสงสารอาม่ามากแล้วก็เลยคิดว่าเราต้องเป็นอาม่าแม่งโจให้คนอื่นเขารู้ว่าเออสมัยนั้นน่ะลูกสาวเนี่ยแพ้ลูกชายยังไงพ่อแม่ก็รักลูกชายมากกว่าลูกสาวแล้วเราเป็น มีหลานเราก็อยากจะเล่นให้ให้หลานเราดูด้วยว่ายายน่ะก็เล่นหนังเป็นนะ
จริงปะเนี่ยเพิ่งรู้
อยากพิสูจน์
อยา
อื
กพิสูจน์ดูว่า
ม
เพราะว่าเห็นคนอื่นเขาเล่นแต่ได้แต่ดูคนอื่นเล่นนะแล้วตัวเองก็ไม่เคยเล่นหนังก็ไม่คิดเหมือนกันว่ามันจะออกมาได้ดีดีอย่างเงี้ย
อือหือ Yeah, so I mean, when she first read the script, she obviously, was extremely daunted by, this the challenge of playing this very complex character, especially it being her first feature film, her first acting role in a feature film. Throughout the shoot, she was still extremely nervous and worried about, how well she can portray this. But I mean, as she, tries to familiarize herself with the script, she feels sorry for this character of the grandmother. She mentioned the scene where, the grandmother goes to see her brother, to ask for money. And for her, that was extremely like heartbreaking to see. And so she really felt like she needed to portray, the role of the daughter in the family, especially in the Chinese family, how disadvantaged it is to be born as a daughter in the family. So that really was, extremely poignant and striking for her. And another thing is that she herself has three daughters, and so she really want them, not only to recognize these issues that the grandmother is going through, but she also wants to prove to her own daughters that she can act, she can act in the feature film. Yeah.
Again, I just really commend her performance. Please let her know that yes, she absolutely. I'm not one of her daughters, but I feel proud of her like I am a daughter.
เล่นดีมากเขาไม่ใช่ลูกสาวยายแต่เขาภูมิใจในตัวยายมากอืมอืมอืม
My last question for you both would just be, what kind of feedback have you really received from people? How has it really been resonating with audiences that you've encountered internationally?
uh, there were I mean, I make this movie just I'm just a filmmaker. So while making this movie, and it's my first feature film, so I have no preconcept of what I wouldn't hope for good reaction. I just hope that okay, I just do my best, and but the reaction from people from around the world, they really encourage me to do the next film, and I just yeah, just happy to be here.
อ๋อเขาถามว่าพอได้ฟังเออเสียงตอบรับจากผู้ชมอย่างเงี้ยรู้สึกยังไงบ้าง
ปลื้มใจมากเลยไม่คิดว่าตัวเองจะเล่นได้ขนาดได้
ขนาดจริงเลยแหละอืมบอกไปเลยบอกไปเลยบอกพรสวรรค์
ผู้กำกับบอกว่าพรสวรรค์ค่ะ
Well, yeah, she gave an extremely humbled answer of, she's extremely pleased, but also extremely surprised to receive such good feedback on this film and on her acting. But, Pat was like, just tell them that you're just, naturally gifted. Yeah. Yeah.
That's very true. He's correct. Thank you all for your time. Kapkunka.
Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.